Well, I'm delighted to be here with Marc Fosh, chef extraordinaire on Mallorca, in Fosh Food, the shop. And Marc, tell us a bit about where you're originally from.
Well, I'm originally from Kent, just outside London in England. And when I was very young I moved to London, so I consider myself to be from London more than anywhere else. That's where I sort of spent my formative years. And I've been in Spain now for 18 years, so I also consider myself sort of half Spanish these days as well. So.
And you speak Spanish fluently?
Sure.
Oh, great.
After
great.
18 years I should do that.
And how did you get into chefing, Marc, all those years ago?
Well, for me it was a very much an accidental thing. You know, as a young kid I just wanted to play football. I never thought about going into a kitchen and being a chef, and it wasn't any great passion of mine. So I fell into it very much by accident. But when I started to wash up, the guys in the kitchen would ask me to help out a little bit and to peel potatoes, to do things, and I realised very soon that I had a certain aptitude for it, and I was quick, and the guys realised as well that I could do things for them and be quite useful. So they used to ask me more and more to help them in the kitchen. And after about 6 months I just became a cook helping them out rather than a washer up. So, and for me it was kind of, I liked the way that the teamwork kind of played a massive part in the kitchen, and it was very much like a football team in that way. You know, we were all working together for the same sort of common goal. You know, so I was just lucky, I guess, to find something that I enjoy from a very young age.
Yes, and what kind of kitchens did you work in?
Again, I was very lucky. I decided to go to college to study, and then after that, my first job was in a Michelin-starred restaurant. And I always think if you start well, it's going to stand you in good stead forever. You know?
Yes.
So, as I say, I was very lucky to find that job and to start. I started at the Capital Hotel just behind Harrods in Basil Street. And it's a wonderful restaurant over the years. It's always had a fantastic restaurant. And in those days it was very classical French cooking. It was an amazing base to start from. I think it's very important for young chefs to learn all the kind of classical French cuisine and to have that base. It really helps you as you go on in your career.
Yes. And so therefore you started very classical, and how has that changed over the years? How has your cooking developed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose food generally has obviously changed a lot, and obviously when I have travelled you pick up different things. I mean, the first sort of probably 6-7 years were very classical, sort of English, French kind of food, and then I went to France, and then from France I went to San Sebastian, and it was really when I came to San Sebastian, to Spain, that my cooking style changed, and that I started to develop a different kind of philosophy about the way I saw food as well. And Spanish chefs at that time were starting to do interesting things. They were working with sort of olive oil and not cream and butter and things like that. So for me, I found it fascinating, and I knew that was where I wanted to be, and I wanted to learn from what was going on in Spain at that time.
And then you came to Mallorca, and how has that influenced your philosophy?
Yeah, it's impossible not to be influenced when you're on a little island in the middle of the Mediterranean by local sort of regional Mediterranean food. You know? And again, great produce here. When you go to the markets, you're always quite inspired by what you can find here. And again, great olive oil, that I find very inspiring. It's probably my favourite ingredient. And so those kind of ideals of good Mediterranean food I kind of took on, and that led me on a little journey to create cleaner, healthier food, but without really realising that was my goal. I didn't do it with any great, it wasn't my great sort of aim to make healthy food.
It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened by accident, really.
And you've had a lot of, we've noticed that a lot of chefs, young chefs who've now opened up restaurants in Mallorca, have gone through your kitchen while you were at Reed's with a Michelin star. And you've raised, in that respect, you've helped raise the level of gastronomy in Mallorca. What would you say to young chefs, as a starting point, really?
Well, I think it's important for them to start at a good level and get a good base. You know? I mean, I've been very lucky to have lots of good young guys come through my kitchen, but they all need to be given a direction. You know? Because I think a lot of young guys, they want to do crazy sort of stuff early on, and they're very ambitious or whatever without really having that base. And I think it's important to try and rein them in a little bit, and make sure that they actually they have a solid base to work from, and that will stand them in good stead as they go on. I think in Mallorca there's been sort of 4 or 5 very talented chefs who've stayed in one place for a long time and helped to raise the standards of Mallorcan food. And I feel lucky to be a part of that little group. And obviously being in one place for a long time helps that.
Yes.
Because you do have so many people coming through the kitchen, and they go on. And now for me it's a great sense of pride to see a lot of good young chefs who I've just helped along a little bit, and they're doing their own thing, and it all helps to make Mallorca's food a little bit more interesting and raise the standards. So it's great.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic, and we've tried a lot of those those dishes, so that's even better. Things have changed for you recently, Marc.
Sure.
A long time at Reed's Hotel, where you had a Michelin star. What are your plans for the future, and where are you going?
Well, they're still a little bit uncertain. Well, I'm fairly clear about what I want to do. You know? I want to open a restaurant. I want to open a different kind of restaurant in Palma. I think Palma needs a great restaurant, Palma. I think there's lots of very good restaurants, but there's not the restaurant in Palma. And I'd like to create a restaurant where you can eat very, very well, but without breaking the bank. And so we're looking now at one particular site. We're almost there. I think we'll be signed in the next few days. I think it'll be a very interesting location in the middle of Palma. And so I'm very excited about the next
phase.
Step, yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll be back to do an interview when you open your restaurant. What I do want to ask you about, though, Marc, are two more things. One is Fosh Food, which has brought together a lot of elements, products and cooking, and tell us a bit about what it's all about here at Fosh Food.
Yeah, Fosh Food is a very, I suppose, original concept, certainly for Mallorca, and it's certainly something that's evolved. We didn't really know where it was going, I think, in the beginning. But it is a bit of a mismatch. It's basically a restaurant for lunchtimes, but it's a gourmet store, as you can see. And it's also, we open in the evenings to do cookery classes. And then at weekends we open as a normal restaurant. So there's lots of different activities going on. It's show cooking, so the guys are cooking in front of the guests, and they're actually serving as well. So the great thing for the chefs as well is that they have to speak languages, they have to be able to converse well with the clients, they have to be able to serve, pour the wine, take the money.
Oh, a lot of work for them.
Well, yeah, the great thing is that it really opens their horizons as well, and it opens I think the great thing about restaurants as well these days is that little by little the walls between the kitchen and the client are being broken down, and that's something that we've tried to do here, and it's something that I keep wanting to do in the future, because I think it's a bad thing to have that wall between the chefs and the clients.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a very, very, very popular concept here in Palma, and I've experienced it myself, and I'm going to come back because it's great. I just want to ask you one more question, Marc. I know that you've been to Moscow.
Yeah.
What's it like in Moscow in terms of culinary experiences?
Moscow as well is a town that's a city that's really growing and changing, and there's really good food. So I was really surprised the first time I went, and I think that with the sort of there's lots of stylish restaurants. The food sometimes disappoints a little bit, but over the last couple of years, it's definitely they've raised the game a lot. And there's some more interesting people going in there, and I think in the future it's going to be a fantastic city for gastronomy.
Right, okay. Well, Marc, thank you very much indeed, and we'll be back soon.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Thank you.